Hi, welcome to the podcast Beyond the Ballot, a Lone Wolf production. This is where we showcase local politics by providing a platform for elected officials and candidates. First, I would like to provide a caveat. The team of Beyond the Ballot, including myself, do not support or endorse the guest in any form. Today's episode is sponsored by the North Salem Republican Town Committee in North Salem, New York. Please join them in their fundraiser on November 2nd. It is in support of their local candidates and committee at $30 per person, which includes food and wine, along with the silent auction. Sponsorship levels are also available. I'm proud to introduce the guest for today's show, Joseph Esposito, Town Councilman, re-elect for Patterson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I like to start the episode by asking a few lighthearted questions.
Okay.
So let's discuss your personal background. How long have you lived in Patterson, and what do you think makes this area so special?
Okay, my Patterson. There's a kind of a story about Patterson. I grew up in New York City, but my Sicilian grandparents in the mid '50s bought a summer bungalow up in Putnam Lake, which is Patterson. So ever since I'm a child, we call it the country. I would be summers and weekends up in Patterson. So when my wife and I got married and had our daughter, and we needed to escape New York City. We came up here. It was my second home. So it's been about, I gauge things on my daughter's education. So, 8 years at St. James and now 4 years at Kennedy. So 12 years we've been living up here, paying taxes up here. And my professional or my personal background is I'm an executive chef. I've been an executive chef for decades. In lots of different business segments, higher education, healthcare, corporate dining. And what I like about Putt Lake and Patterson is a couple of things. It's proximity to New York City, which is, as far as work and things, at least currently, that's a good thing that it's close to New York City. We'll see what happens in the future. And what I do remember when I used to visit from New York City, I'd go to the store up here and buy something, I'd get a thank you. And I didn't experience that often in New York City. So the sense of community, I joke with my neighbors that we're nosy neighbors. If you're my neighbor and I see a van in front of your house, I'm like, why is that van there?
What was that neighbor on Bewitched? Do you remember her name?
No, I don't.
Oh, Mrs. Kravitz, maybe.
Is that it?
Yeah, she was a nosy neighbor.
I remember Darren, but I don't remember.
Mrs. Kravitz, I'm pretty sure.
But we're nosy in a good way. We're watching out for each other. This is our home. So we're nosy neighbors in a positive way.
You look out for each other.
Yes.
Okay. Who are your mentors or role models that have made a difference in your life?
For me, I'd say my mother and my brother-in-law Richie, my sister's husband. And in different ways they've had positive effects on me. My mother, there's more backstory. My father got sick when I was 2 years old, so he was not able to. He didn't work anymore. He got sick. My mother had to then take on the full role of being both parents. We had some money. My father was a World War II veteran, so he did get his VA check, but it was never enough for New York City. So my mother still didn't complain. She went back to work, got a full-time job. She'd come home from work and she'd cook for us. She would teach us what family values were. She paid for my Catholic school education. She instilled in me a sense, this Italian way of looking at family, of this is what's expected of you. And then again, without complaint, she did everything. She was an intelligent, strong woman, not quite a single mom. But considering, my father's condition, she had to do a lot of that on her own. My brother-in-law, Richie, my sister's husband, I have no brothers. I have two sisters. And he came into my life when I was about 12 years old. He was the first person to take me fishing. And I caught my first fish in Putnam Lake. He took me hiking and camping. And he's kind of an academic in that he taught me. One of the things he taught me to appreciate was books, which my wife doesn't appreciate because she says I never throw a book out. So now I've got books all over the place, and I think you shouldn't throw a book out. I'm sorry. So he taught me to appreciate some of those some books and to look at things in a different way. He also taught me in a sense of family.
So this is a loaded question. What's the last book that you have read?
I'm still reading A River Runs Through It.
Okay.
I just got A River Runs Through It, which I thought was a good movie. But then I saw a TV show where Mike Rowe, who I like, made a reference to the book, and he seemed to have it memorized at the ending of the book. And I'm like, I got to find that book. And so that's a good book. If you don't know A River Runs Through It, it's fishing and religion, and there's a way that they combine both, if that makes sense. You know, I'll get you a copy. And so that's I'm still reading that one. But my brother-in-law, in an intellectual way, taught me about family, like from a sociological or anthropology. Why do people have 10 kids? Why do families need them to do the work? So between the two of them, my sense of family is, my mother's loving sense of family. My brother-in-law's more practical, intellectual. Why, a pecking order, why things happen, why do people do certain things, which has helped me in my political, like to understand why did someone just say that? Did they really mean what they said, or is there some underlying meaning to what that is? So those two.
And last question to break the ice. Is there anything about yourself that people might not know or find interesting?
Nobody. I play guitar. I've been playing guitar since I'm a teenager. Again, my wife complains I have guitars all over the house.
Guitars and books,
and I won't throw either of them out. And I'm a pretty good salsa dancer. In fact, I met my wife almost 30 years ago, and we just were talking about that. And I was like, 30 years? Wow, that passed. At a dance school in New York City. So I think I'm a pretty good salsa mambo dancer.
All right.
I prefer to dance on two, if anybody knows what that means.
I do not know what that means.
It's the way it's the way you take your step. But okay.
So now the more challenging questions, if there are any. Please tell us about your professional experience. You've mentioned that you're an executive chef, and how that has specifically supported you in your role as town councilman.
Okay, so when you think of a chef, usually you think of just someone's cooking a meal, and that's to satisfy people, obviously. But as an executive chef, you've got the whole picture. You're dealing with human resources. You're dealing with budgeting. You're dealing with deadlines. You're trying to satisfy, depending on where you are, what business segment, the client, the customers who are actually buying the food, your bosses at headquarters that say, are your food percentages good? So that to me translates into a town board where you're a 5-person member of a committee, again trying to satisfy people's needs on a different scale. I mean, I might be in a kitchen that's budget's $2 million, as we're at a $16 million budget for the town of Patterson. So I think those skills, those traits do translate into working in a committee. Again, to satisfy people's needs. What is,
a little off topic, but as an executive chef, how did you get into culinary arts?
There was a point when I was I wasn't sure why I was in college, and my family had just closed a small cappuccino joint that we had. This is way before Starbucks was a big deal. And my brother-in-law, of all people, said, the Italian thing I'm gonna play on that is I cooked anyway. I was cooking as when I was a teenager. I cooked meals for a bunch of friends. We'd be hanging out. So I ended up going to getting a job in a hotel, and then going to French Culinary Institute in New York City, and then you just you move your way up. It's sort of a military way. You start out as a prep cook, you work your way up to a saucier, then you become a sous chef, and before you know it, you're a chef somewhere. And an executive chef of a corporate account in Manhattan that's serving 2,000 people. So
you're French trained.
The school was French, and yes, some of their basis was in this French system. But once you know how to cook a piece of chicken, whether you're going to cook it in a French style or an Italian style or an Asian style, you just the ideas are the same. It's just the flavor profiles are different.
This will be my last food-related question. I know, because you have two Italians here. I have to bring food, obviously people gravitate towards it.
Food.
People love food.
Yeah.
What is your go-to meal that you can whip up without even thinking?
depends on how much time we have. I thought I was going to write a cookbook years ago. There was a point I wanted to write the single guy's cookbook. And I had recipes.
This is 30 years ago when you were single.
When I was single.
Okay.
Right.
Before the salsa.
Before the salsa. Just before the salsa thing. But I was cooking, and I think I had graduated the cooking school, and I wanted to write a cookbook. And so my go-to recipe would be what I'm going to, pasta marinara, which is, a simple, garlic and a can of plum tomatoes and oregano. And you
San
make
Marzano?
San Marzano is nice,
okay.
And it's not one of those long cooked sauces. It's a quick, rustic, chunky tomato sauce. You cook it 10, 15 minutes. You boil your pasta. You get the basil out of the garden, and you're good.
Okay.
So that's my go-to.
All right, we're done with the food. We have to. Yeah, we'll get back to. I had to. I saw Italians.
Some food would come up.
So, what caused you to initially run for town councilman, and what continues to be the impetus for you, the motivation?
When I was in New York City, I used to volunteer. When I lived in New York, I'd volunteer for things. I remember we had a group in our town, in our neighborhood that got together, a Friends of group for a playground that was under construction. I used to volunteer for Neighborhood Watch, and then when I moved up to Patterson, and I was commuting to New York City, there was no time to volunteer. At one point, I got a different job. My commute was less. I was kind of done with yelling at my TV at the things I saw that I didn't like, and someone suggested, there's a point where you think to yourself, you place your vote on election day and you hope for the best. I wanted to do a little more than that. So someone suggested I get to the Republican committee. I went to the Republican committee, became a member of the Republican committee. That's about 4 years ago. And through that, you start to meet people. You start to see opportunities that are out there. You find out some of the backroom stories of what's going on. I got selected to be on the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town. I became a member of the Putnam County Firearms Association, so I'm a big Second Amendment supporter. Member of the Putnam County Women's Republican. Yes, they allow men in that. And so I just realized that I wanted to do more, that once you get involved in it, you start to find out what it takes to make things happen. So that was my initial introduction into the politics of the town. And then I realized I could do this. As I'm learning these things, my point of view is that I'm a mortgage owner. I'm a taxpayer. I'm not a career politician, and I'm sure that I bring a fresh set of eyes to the process, and that's what got me involved.
Okay, what is your favorite part of being a town councilman?
Being part of a solution is what's
satisfying.
It's satisfying, especially when something gets done. I'm sure you'll ask me another question, and I'll explain. Things don't always get done, and things don't happen quickly in politics, as I'm learning. But just the satisfaction of knowing that you had a part in that, and if you see somebody at the supermarket and they followed, and they're like, "Hey, we're happy that happened," or "We're happy that you did that," or "We're unhappy, and here's why." But the satisfaction of knowing that you're contributing to your community
in a positive way.
Yes.
Throughout your term, what accomplishments are you most proud of?
So there's a bunch of stuff that's happened that I've been a part of as a board member. I'm proud to say that in the time that I've been on the board, and things that have come to the board while I'm there, we're building a new EMS building. That had been a problem for a while. There was a building that was purchased, and it didn't turn out to be the right building. So now we're building an EMS building. We have an early learning center that was brought into Patterson by the county that we had to partner with. It's in a place called InterArts off Route 22 in Patterson. So it's an early learning center for children with special needs. And so obviously that's very helpful to the community. There were people who needed to, within the area, that had to travel to, say, Westchester to have that. So now that's something that's close by. People don't have to travel as far. We also, now, I don't know how familiar you are with some of the issues that Patterson faces. Front Street is kind of a main street for us near the train station, but it's undeveloped. There's nothing. Years and years ago, decades ago, before I was paid attention, that used to be a vibrant area, and it hasn't been developed. One of the reasons was there wasn't enough potable water, so we've extended a water line to the area from another area down Dorset Hollow, which in itself sounds simple, but you can't have a vibrant businesses and homes without the proper water supply. Mm-hmm. So that's something that's happened. All these things have happened in the time that I've been there. There are things that I'm trying to work on individually that haven't happened yet. I mean, I could talk about them. It sounds like I'm giving away secrets. Being a chef and my connection to food, I have at times volunteered my services at community kitchens. And then you meet one person, you find out something else. I volunteer at the Patterson Community Church, and then I find out about something the Rotary Club is doing. Then I find out about a place called Second Chance Foods. And I get in touch with Stephanie, the director of the Cornell Cooperative Extension for Putnam County, and you find out what they're doing. So one of the things that happened was in a volunteer time at Second Chance Foods, where they prepare nutritious meals from donated foods from, say, Trader Joe's or somebody, and then they distribute it to people who need it, whether it be seniors or veterans. And as I was with the chef, learning about what it is that they do, and I saw her list of towns that were getting the food, I say, I don't see Patterson here. I know that Patterson has hungry people. I know not everybody can make ends meet. And one of the things that came to my mind was, as I, in politics, being on a committee, you knock on doors, you go out, you help other people get signatures and sign petitions and things like that. And you start to see the different lifestyles people have, or you knock on a senior citizen's door and you realize you might be the only person that's knocked on that door for that day. And that's the only contact that they've had with someone. So that's when I started to think to myself, Patterson does have people who could use the Second Chance food services and the foods that are being prepared. And I wouldn't have known that had I not been involved the way I am and actually met people, again, knocking on doors. And you see veterans who are trying to make ends meet, or families that could use the food. So how do we get something into Patterson? So now it hasn't happened yet, but
it's in the works.
I'm trying. You find out that this is where government, is slow, and this is one of the challenges in government is to find out who you need to get in touch with to make something happen. Right. And then you find out, well, you just missed the window on a grant. If you had called me a week before. So that's something that I'm happy to say I'm working on. It hasn't happened yet, and I'm hopeful it will happen soon. To bring meals to needy people in Patterson. Individually, I'm happy. My accomplishments are that I'm happy that I've developed a network or relationships with other town elected officials and with the county. I can call Kevin Byrne and he knows who Joseph Esposito is. I can call Matt Slater and he knows who I am. So, and I think that helps. I think I should allow people to be confident that Patterson's voice will be heard if we need to say to someone,
I don't know if you'd be able to answer this question, but how was the Early Learning Center placed in Patterson? How were you given that?
How did it get there?
Yeah.
Someone named, I don't know if Valerie Kurtz is the exact person who started it, but I know that I spoke with Valerie Kurtz, who works in the county, the Department of Health within Putnam County. They were looking to place an early learning center somewhere. They needed to find a location. There were different locations involved. Somehow this building, the Inter-Art Center in Patterson, it's a community-based services, is the company that runs that. And it needed to happen before September so that it could get kids in there. Mm-hmm. It came before the town board in that we needed to make sure that we were going to help them with the zoning process and all the paperwork that was going to have to happen under normal circumstances, again, you go to a zoning board meeting and say, come back next month. 6 months down the road, you're still working on a project. So we wanted to make sure that didn't happen. So that came before us. One of the things that I remember happening was it was suggested that it was going to come to, the county was going to found this location in Patterson. And then some other legislators at the county level, wanted to take the credit for it. I'm going to be critical of them. And they were choosing other locations, and they wanted to move it because it was in preliminary stages out of Patterson. They thought they had a better deal somewhere else, going to get a better lease or whatever it might have been. And the county wanted it at InterArts in Patterson. So ultimately, there was a vote at the full legislature voted to allow it to happen where it was originally slated to go, which was Patterson. So there was a chance it was not going to happen in Patterson because other people wanted to take it out of Patterson, put it somewhere else. So it happened in Patterson. It was initially Kevin Byrne and the people in the Department of Health that wanted it there in Patterson. And we, of course, support that.
So do you think that since Patterson has this center, the Early Learning Center, do you think that attracts people to residing in Patterson? Like, do you think that's an absolute positive? Well,
it is a positive for our community if someone has a child with special needs and they know that this service is available to them and they would not have to travel. So one of the things that happens as a councilman is you're introduced to something and then you have to do your own research and find out. And what I found out was that there are plenty of people who would take advantage of this service if it was closer. But it had been that they would have to commute to Westchester or find a way to get their children to Westchester and then find a way to get them back. So yes, if you have a child with special needs and you know that it's available to you right here in Patterson, then of course I think it would attract you to us. It's another thing that we offer as a town.
I just want to take a moment to kindly thank the sponsor of today's episode, the North Salem Republican Town Committee in North Salem, New York. Please join them in their fundraiser on November 2nd. It is in support of their local candidates and committee at $30 per person, which includes food and wine, along with the silent auction. Sponsorship levels are also available. So has there been any challenges that you faced as town councilman that you can recall?
Initial challenges were being camera shy, I'll tell you that. I didn't know the difference between a motion and a resolution when I first got on the town board. What I have found, there's two things I find as challenges. Satisfying everyone has been challenging, and
which in life you can't.
No, I know you can't. You can't. And even when you do something that you think is good and that benefits, someone will find a reason. Well, you did something. You did something and give it a number 10. Why not 11? Or one of the issues in our town is our Putnam Lake is an impaired water body. Sometimes you have HABs, harmful algal blooms. Very easy to say. And I know lots of places around the county have that issue.
Right.
So we've been good this year in that the beach has not been closed regularly. Well, they're closed now, obviously, but during the season, we didn't have a lot of issues with that. But there still would be people who would complain if it was closed once. And you'd say, well, there are other lakes and other bodies of water that are closed, have much more severe conditions than we have. And our our park district committee is working on that, and we're working on that. So again, to satisfy everyone is not easy. And I also, as I alluded to, things move slowly. You're gung-ho and you think, like the food issue that I've discussed, trying to bring food to people. And then you realize, well, you got to partner with somebody to have a location where the food's going to be delivered. You need people to deliver that food. You need funding. Is it grants? How do you do that? So things move more slowly than you would like.
And people from the community might not know that. They don't know the process of things.
Most people probably don't, unless you've gotten involved or my Facebook page says stay informed. You do your best, right? People go to work. As soon as they come home on a given night, they're not necessarily tuning into the town board meeting. That's not something that's on their top of their priorities. But to stay informed, to learn what it takes to make things happen. And then, I didn't realize how many moving parts, even a relatively small town, over 10,000 is our population with about 12,000, how many moving parts there are to make a town run. So yeah, things move a little more slowly than I would have liked.
If you're reelected, what goals or ambitions do you have for the future of Patterson?
Well, the food issue is something that I'm still working on. I would like the board, and I'd like to be part of making Putnam Lake happen. When I say happen, there's so many moving parts to Putnam Lake to make it a healthy body of water. People have talked about funding. You need $15 million to dredge the lake, which is a notion people have. I don't specifically think that's the answer right now to find $15 million, but I would like to see more movement on what's happening with Putnam Lake. I know we're moving forward on Front Street. As a group, we're moving forward, and I'd like to see that happen because we don't really have a main street in Patterson that you can park your car and walk the main street and go to different businesses, bring your family. So those are some of the things I'd like to address in a full term.
Transparency. That's all you hear these days, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think you've always operated with full transparency?
I do. I joke, I'm an open book, and it's not a thick book. It's just me as some of my literature that I pass out when I knock on doors to meet people. I am still paying my mortgage. I still, my daughter's in school. I have car payments like everyone else. And I don't want to give away many more of my tax dollars than I have to. I'd like the government to provide for me minimally, right. and then stay out of my life.
Spoken like a true Republican.
Yeah, I can't help it. Well, I think it's a logical way to I don't want to be told what I need to do. Mm-hmm. Just help me. I need an ambulance. I need a fire. I need the roads clean. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know we're the 8th safest county, and there's reasons for that. But otherwise, I don't want the government to tell me what to do.
And you said that you have you had a website or a Facebook page, Stay Informed?
It's not it's my Facebook page.
Okay.
I'm fiscally responsible. I don't pay for anything. I'm not paying for a Facebook page or an Instagram page. But
you keep the community up to date?
I try my best to tell them, what's going on. Mm-hmm. It might be something as simple as you've opened a restaurant in the town, and I'll say, come to this new pasta joint. It's great. Support local businesses. Helps broaden our tax base, and less property taxes you're going to pay if these businesses succeed. So that's just simply something on my Facebook page.
How did you fare with the sharing of the sales tax?
When I found out about that, here's one of those things that unless you attend a meeting at the legislature. That wasn't something that was coming up at town board meetings initially. And I did attend a meeting or two I didn't speak at the meetings, but I attended the meetings, and I heard the debate between lowering it to 3.75 and what the benefit to that was. And I started to develop an opinion. My opinion was that if you lower the taxes to Putnam County and people, to the shopper, but not everybody in Putnam County that's shopping is from Putnam County. So that's, other people are benefiting. And I'm happy to keep it within the family, so to speak. So I do think that the 9 towns and villages sharing the 1/9 of a percent, the potential for $50,000 only to be used for infrastructure, $50,000 minimum, then the rest is based on population. Obviously, that's a benefit and anyone should be able to see that $50,000 or whatever that amount is means that's $50,000 that we're not asking the taxpayer for.
And that'll go towards infrastructure.
Only infrastructure is what the requirements are.
Okay. Before we conclude this episode, are there any other campaign talking points or a final message you want to share?
Well, campaign-wise, I feel that I have a blend of a fresh way of approaching things in politics without having been involved in it for decades. I mean, I know people will say, well, I'm not a career politician. I am not a career politician. One of the things I'm happy to say is I did not disappear. I won my election and I haven't disappeared. I stay visible. I attend as many local events, or whether they be local in the town, if there's an event, the Rotary Club or the church or somebody's doing something. I like to be there. I like people to know that I'm there to hear what they have to say. If someone emails me or messages me or contacts me at the town hall, I'll try my best to find out how I can, if I can't help them, find out who can help them. I'm also happy that I've, again, developed the relationships I have, not only in the town, but in neighboring towns or at the county, because I think as a county, it's just like with that sales tax. It's good for us to know what's happening around us. It's good for us to have a voice up,
to represent.
To represent. I want people to know that I have tried my best to hear what people have to say. If I'm at the supermarket and somebody says, what happened? I heard that town board meeting and I didn't like this or I did like that. So I know what some of the issues are that people are concerned about, and I would convey that to the county.
Okay. So you're present, accessible, and always looking for opportunities for Patterson.
Thank you. I like that. Yes.
So you mentioned your Facebook account. Do you have any other accounts or a website that people can search and learn more about you and your campaign?
I have Facebook. You can find me, Joseph Esposito, on Facebook, or Joseph Esposito, Patterson Town Council, also on Instagram. I don't have a website because,
you said fiscally responsible.
Because I'm fiscally responsible, and why spend the money on a website when I can just use free Facebook?
The general election is November 4th. Early voting is on October 25th. There you have it, folks. Joseph Esposito, Town Councilman for re-elect of Patterson.
Thank you.
It's been great having you on the show.
Thank you for the chance to get my message out.
If anyone, a business owner or individual, would be interested in sponsoring future episodes, please reach out to us. Also, if you live in Westchester or Putnam County and you would like to come on the show as a guest to discuss any concerns, ideas, or even to promote an upcoming event, we'd love to have you. Thank you for watching the podcast Beyond the Ballot. Like, subscribe, and leave us your comments. Thank you.